Gentlemen, we are at the 112 mark, so we're going to probably go another 20 minutes, give or take, get out of here, on time because I got a bunch of stuff to do. But we do have to cover this next story. So, Crispy Bomb, let me drop it like it's hot, so to speak. The Game Awards, the biggest show of the any year that it's in, as big as the Xbox Showcase will be or has been in the past, Tokyo Game Show or Gamescom. There is no doubt that the biggest show or the most watched show of every and any year that it's in is Geoff Keighley's The Game Awards. Some people really like the awards. I like to see, studios get their flowers. I think this is going to be a very interesting year simply because I do think Sandfall Interactive and Expedition 33 are going to run the gambit. I think that game is going to win every award category that it's in, and it's worthy of it. The story behind that game is just so amazing, and so when you just, like I said, if you ever need a feel good type of story for gaming and game design, look no further than Expedition 33 because everything about that game should not work, right? How they found the music and the voice actors and everything on how they designed, how many people brought that game to fruition. And by all rights, it shouldn't work, but somehow it did, and it's a lot of people's game of the year. It brought a new way of playing turn-based RPGs to the forefront of gaming. It certainly put the spotlight on AAA development and cost. Like when you look at how much they spent, how many people designed this, who was involved, how they found the people. This game shouldn't work, and it did. And it sold really well, even though it was an Xbox Game Pass. And that's another thing. This thing got a significant amount of boost being an Xbox Game Pass. I mean, I could have played it through there, but I bought the game. I bought the deluxe edition because I wanted to support the developer. I didn't get it as a review copy. That's fine. I was more than happy to spend the money. But circling the wagons here, Crispy, being that Geoff's show is the biggest and most viewed show of any year that it's in, this is an opportunity for Xbox to really bookend what I believe to be one of the best years they have ever had. When you consider how the year opened up with the Developer Direct, where, obviously Black Ops 7 just released today, it's that really incredible middle part that should tell the tale of how Xbox as a platform, not just as and a publisher platform, by the way, has done, because they have made not only a lot of money, which again, I could give a flying shit about. I don't care about the money, but as a player, as a gamer who has invested into the ecosystem and who is someone proudly paid up until October 5th of 2028 for Xbox Game Pass, I got my money's worth in spades. Now, with that said, right, we just finished talking about the Xbox Ally X doing big numbers, selling out in multiple countries, people still on hold to get theirs. Well, this is an opportunity, Crispy, and I think you're with me on this one. If you want to really grab the world and take Play Anywhere to the next level, which I think that they are slowly doing. I know there's been a lot of pushback with the Xbox 360 X-esque type of commercials. I got to be honest with you. I haven't seen a commercial that I thought was terrible. Yeah, sure, they're cheesy, but that is what the Xbox 360 marketing was, and it worked really well for them. And I got to be honest with you. I know people are like, well, boom, it's stupid. I'm embarrassed to watch it. Well, A, don't watch it if that's the case. But B, what are we doing? We're talking about their advertising. And if there's anything that we can say about Xbox, their marketing and messaging has been terrible. But this has the people talking. So with all of the games they've released this year, with the two handhelds that are partnered OEM devices and the commercials and the success of some of their games that have been here, there, and everywhere, even older games like Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation, one of their top selling games on PS5 this year. Pretty incredible stuff. If you really want to close out the year and just go for it, this is the show to do it. And they did it in 2019 with the Series X reveal, which no one saw coming. And of course, they showed off Hellblade 2. But the hardware took everybody by storm. People were in the audience. I was there streaming it live. People didn't know what the heck was happening. Well, again, I don't know if they're going to get the same reaction, but if they announce that next year, where they're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the platform, and they somehow, whoever they're working with, which I believe it to be Asus, just like the handhelds, if they can get a Magnus preview box out there that gives you the bells and whistles of next generation, there are a couple of things that are going to be happening, and they're going to be big stories. The biggest story, and I know I'm going to get pushback for this, and I already did. But if this box does come out and they do show it at the Game Awards, you know what the conversation is going to be? Not that it's going to play Halo great, or Gears of War E-Day, or even Forza Horizon 6. No, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be the best place to play Grand Theft Auto 6 next year. That in itself is worth its weight in gold. I want to get your thoughts on whether or not you believe that this next, OEM the box or partnered hardware shows up at the Game Awards.
Could be either or. I mean, we've seen a lot of conflicting things happening at this point. Could one be before the other? Because clearly they're already embracing, everybody ignores the fact that they branded with Meta as well. So, they're doing different things. They're basically some people are going to hate this, but they're treating it like the platform of Windows is going to be kind of become a coexistence with the Xbox UI. And I think over time, it's going to take time. I think it's going to be one of the most important things that ever happened to gaming. And realizing that, at least from what I've seen, obviously being an Xbox user, maybe the algorithm hits me more, but I'm seeing a lot more advertising. And, that makes me believe that over time, they're going to look at the Game Awards this year, especially, and probably next year much differently. And because, it hasn't been much, at least last year wasn't, much of anything. So I look at that and say, you bring out, a tease or whatever you want to say for that console. In my opinion, you got to have the games to back it up. And, you're not going to show a lot. You've already shown a bunch of games, but we haven't seen any gameplay from Gears E-Day. And also, if you want that pop from the crowd, in my opinion, because people are just salivating for it, Fallout 3 remaster, have Todd come out, show some side by side, some stuff like that, the TV show, all that happening with one of the largest, viewed things that they could have this on. I mean, it would be logical, to show what they're thinking, maybe a little bit more than them just talking. Like, remember the 1X and all that, give a little more, maybe some glimpses or whatnot of what the future holds. And, it could intrigue people that are just, hey, let's celebrate the games. Let's see what's new. Might be like, this looks interesting from Xbox. And I'm not talking about the stands. I'm talking about the people that, might still have a One or a PS4 because, as, even Fuzzy, talking about that, like people do still have these things. There's still a PS4 in my house. I mean, I can't even get rid of the thing now. So if you look at it, it really would be a logical time. And I feel like they want to get some hype, especially going in to the anniversaries. And there's a lot of anniversaries next year. So why not bookend the year with some, like, hey, we're here, and you could play on your TV or phone, wherever, but we're bringing it. And it makes sense.
Well, it's funny. You made an interesting point. Before I hand the microphone over to Silent Cypher, I want to kind of, just kind of point this out. So I did a search. Now, we just saw the new, I saw it. I've watched it twice already. I'm very excited. Fallout Season 2. That trailer that just dropped for Amazon Prime looks good. I mean, there's somebody in power armor fighting a Deathclaw. Yes, please. I'm all in. But interestingly enough, we start talking about dates. Well, December 17th, 2025 is the first episode, or at least I think it's going to be the first 2 episodes, right? The Game Awards just so happens to be on December 11th. So Todd Howard walking out to announce to the world that, hey, go check out this, season 2 of Fallout. But, oh, by the way, right now, go to your console, download Fallout 3 Remake. I actually think what you just did is put that into the ether. I think that's actually happening. That was brilliant. I don't know whether you knew that's what you were doing, but that was a brilliant take because, again, it makes sense. At the Game Awards, listen, Fallout 3 Remake is probably releasing on here, there, and everywhere, right? I even think a Switch 2 version is possible. So if you're going to have millions upon millions of gamers getting excited for season 2, which season 1 did numbers that you said that were unbeatable by anybody or anything, then you drop the because again, VGC just did a story this week on it where they have confirmed that it is real. We all know it's real. We just need it to be dropped. That would be pretty freaking epic at the Game Awards. On top of, and again, this is what I'm saying. If you want to say go for it, this is how you do that. Obviously Bethesda has operated as their own thing. When you say Bethesda, no one really equates it with Xbox, right? It's just Bethesda, which is fine. And this is where you can have room for a console reveal. And I think that if you're going to go for it, Silent Cypher, this is the biggest stage that you could use. And again, we are just spitballing here. This is a lot of speculation, a lot of fanboy dreaming. But I think that if Xbox wants to really drive the point home, they've already started doing that. These handhelds may not be for you for one reason or another. Maybe that you are someone like Kay Asante who has the MSI Claw and likes the bigger screen and the more power. And I'm not going to fight you on it. But if you're somebody that doesn't like it because you don't believe it's an Xbox, then we can't even have a conversation because by all counts or all accounts, it's an Xbox because it was made in partnership with Asus and Microsoft. I'm sorry. If that does not work for you, then maybe this show doesn't work for you either. I don't know what to tell you. But I am going to say that if you really want to get people, if you want to close out the year in a big way, get people excited for what is expected to be a party from the 1st of January to December 31st of next year. It's going to be all about Xbox. They're doing a lot of big things, a lot of big anniversaries, a lot of big releases. Having a console to potentially release with Halo Campaign Evolved that pushes its specs to the limit and gives you a glimpse into Magnus would be one hell of a story. And to get that story started, I say go for it, Xbox, and show this thing off at the Game Awards. What are your thoughts on this, Silent Cypher? Should this be the go-to move?
I think, given their past with the Video Game Awards, it would make a lot of sense for them to show their next leanings into hardware. We saw it with the Xbox One X. We've seen it in the past. Like we saw the Scorpio when that ended up having the release, and I think we saw the Series X.
Yeah, in 2019. Yep.
Yeah, so like they've had a history with it there previously, as far as announcing things, which is always fun to me because like we all know that Keighley doesn't like Xbox that way. So it's kind of great when Microsoft comes in and just bankrolls it and is like, well, okay, we get that you're not going to give us that same love, but we're just going to fill your show with a bunch of Xbox stuff. And it's like, I know at the end of the day it's more about the money and the success of the thing for him than is like necessarily just the fanboyism. But I love the fact that they go in and just load it up sometimes. Like there for a while I was kind of the mindset that it's like, don't give him anything, like, because the way that he treated it sometimes, like it, you could do it elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you said, there's a lot of eyes on this thing, whether you like him or not. He has a big show. It's gained popularity. It's a
Yeah.
thing people watch every year. So whether I like it or not, like we're still going to watch it, see what happens, because inevitably we're going to see something interesting there. Some years have been better than others. Some have been some real duds. Some have had some real good cringe moments, like the wrap it up timer. That was pretty amazing.
Or the giant
Uh,
shaver, the
or
shaver superhero man. That was bad.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
or the God of War voice actor ranting on for 7 or 8 minutes when maybe he just didn't get his nap that day and he was just grouchy. Who knows? But whatever the case is, yeah, I think this would be a good time for them to present something. I Whether it happens or not, I like the idea of them dropping hardware going into GTA 6's release, because it gives me a sinister amusement. The idea that Sony fans would end up having competition coming out that then could play the game even better, um, at the exact same time. And then they have to try and move the goalpost again and explain to me how a $750 PS5 Pro is actually good. So it would be an interesting time. I would love to see them drop hardware and just be like, this is a glimpse into what we're doing. It's just like what we saw with the Xbox ROG Ally in October. Same type of thing, right? Like this is a glimpse into what the future of these systems is going to be. And
Yes.
as we see these iterations come out as we move forward, we're going to see some of the implemented changes. We're going to see some of those adjustments and tweaks and stuff as we go forward. And we're going to see how this is going to unfold like in the future on these systems. Like we're going to get small glimpses in to show us what this is going to be next gen. um, it's going to be interesting to see the change that they're doing with this. But I'm still I get nervous that like I know in the past we had heard rumors and reports that we were going to possibly see some form of hardware in 2026, be it like a partnership or something like
Yes.
that. And that's what I'm hopeful for, because again, like if you release that, there's never a better time than to do it right near GTA. So you can showcase and be like, hey, guess what? We've got the best place to play this. That would be awesome. Um, you mentioned Fallout 3 getting announced finally, the remaster, remake, or whatever. And I'm really hopeful because after that Fallout Day
Disappointment. Yes.
disappointment,
Yeah.
um, yeah, dude, let me tell you, like there was so much opportunity that they had in that show to make it an amazing thing. And instead, like it went off like a fart in a tight elevator, right? Like it went off like a fart in an elevator. Everyone was sitting there just like, what the hell was that? Like,
What did you eat, fella?
like we know that these guys are working on things,
Oh
and
my
this
god.
is what you brought us? Okay. All right, sure. We've known for a long time that Fallout 3 remake or remaster or whatever has been in the works. And like I figured that would have been the time to show it. But you guys do have a great point of the fact that like the new Fallout season's coming up. Video Game Awards is right before that. So maybe that's a great time to do it. Be like, hey, by the way, we know that you're enjoying Fallout as a TV series, and we have Fallout 3 for you to jump back in,
Yes.
remastered, re-envisioned, whatever. Um, it seems like the timing makes a lot of sense. I hope that it's what it is, because again, that Fallout Day was a big disappointment. When they give you literally just Fallout New Vegas Anniversary Edition and there's really no modifications or changes or tweaks or anything to make it good, it's just a cash grab. That was a disappointing day.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys are right. I would be very happy if you guys were right, because I just dove back into Fallout 4 after the Anniversary Edition released. I realized I just hadn't played a lot of that game when it came out, and so I'm diving back in, and it's got me wanting to go back to Fallout 3 now.
Yeah.
So that would be great. But yeah, back to the hardware thing. Yeah, I think we see something. I hope we see something. Let's put it that way. I hope we see something, especially given what next year is going to be with all the pillars releasing. It would be a real good true to form for them, and it would be a really good way for them to give the competition the middle finger.
You know, again, this is probably me fanboying or fanboy dream, whatever. Listen, I'm an Xbox, folks. I am who you thought I was, right? I like Xbox as my favorite brand. Fuzzy, both Crispy and Silent have knocked it out of the park. But I want to get your take on this because, I'm all about opportunity. I think that when you have an opportunity and it's squandered, like Bethesda had with Fallout Day, it leaves a sour taste in your fan base's mouth. And it's not one. I mean, again, they could have announced something about New Vegas getting a remake. They could have announced that New Vegas 2 was considered. Whatever they could have done, and they could have done it up big, right? And they chose to, squander an incredible opportunity. Well, next year for Xbox is shaping up to be one of the biggest years for the platform, and they're going to be on display everywhere. It's the 25th anniversary of the brand. Halo Combat Evolved is getting a fresh coat of paint with Campaign Evolved. We've seen some of it in that 13-minute trailer. It looks incredible, right? Gears of War E-Day is finally going to be released. We're going to get a chance to see what happened, what has led up into the Gears that we currently know and love. Forza is finally going to Japan. Holy shit. I can't believe this is happening. You might get Clockwork Revolution, which I believe is a possibility. You also are getting Fable. We're finally going to get Fable. I know that Colt Eastwood had said some things. Until I'm told otherwise, Fable is next year because it was supposed to be this year, and it was pushed back. Craig Duncan, I believe, is the one that said, no, we need some more time for it. So they're doing some extra work with it. Fine. The next Call of Duty is going to be Modern Warfare 4 by Infinity Ward next fall. There's a lot going on for Xbox, but here is where the opportunity that I'm trying to paint this picture. And folks, apologies for being long-winded, but I need context to get to where I'm going. So walk with me on this, right? If they show off this partnered potential glimpse into Magnus for next year, there are quite a few big implications. One, we already know that people are interested in higher end hardware because the series the series consoles, they're selling what they're selling, which isn't a lot, but they released two handheld devices in the Ally and the Ally X. And the Ally X, we just talked about it, is selling out. People are buying it in bulk because now, could it be scalpers? Absolutely. But it also is a lot of people. I keep seeing in my feeds every day, hey, I got my Ally. People are taking pictures and they're playing and they're enjoying it. Well, this is an opportunity for Xbox to close out what I believe to be one of the best years the platform and brand has ever had. They have, as of today, a dozen first-party releases of ilk ilk and size, from the indies to something as big as Black Ops 7. So it may not be every game for you. Maybe of the 12, you like 6, you like 7 of them, but that's still 12 releases from one publisher. That's an insane amount of games in 1 year. If you show up to the Game Awards, which is the most watched show and you show potentially a piece of partnered hardware for next year, that is going to set them on a path, because January is going to levy their next developers direct, which could include Fable, Forza Horizon 6, and a couple of surprises. Right? That's how they're going to start their 26, which is big. But this is where it gets super pointed and super interesting. So we know, thanks to several of the PlayStation insiders, that, and again, I use the term loosely, Sony has sent a team of engineers to work side by side with Rockstar to get this game running at 60 frames. Now, whether that actually happens or not, I don't know, but that is what has been reported. Well, here's an interesting thought and theory. The 15th of November of next year is the 25th anniversary of the platform. That happens to fall on a Sunday. So they obviously have to do the celebration before or the day after. But if there was a console to be released, what releases a couple of days after that? Grand Theft Auto 6 on the 19th. And if you could somehow tout that the best place to play Grand Theft Auto at 60 frames, with all the bells and whistles on this piece of Magnus hardware, it is going to steal the narrative from Sony's PlayStation 5 Pro. And I think that, again, this all has to play out. Is it going to? Probably not. I probably pitched an incredible idea that people are in the chat are getting excited about, and it's going to probably end up like a wet fart. It's none of this is going to happen. I'm like, boom, you see, you got it roll wrong. And it's possible, because what I just pitched is what a marketing guy that makes six figures is supposed to pitch to the bigs. See, I'm still waiting for the call, Phil. The call has not happened. Get me in the seat. Get me 45 minutes in the seat, and I'll sell you a $1 billion idea. Is this going to happen, folks? I have no idea. But could it? It absolutely could. Let's get your thoughts on this. Could hardware show up at the Game Awards?
I think it does. And there's a couple of things. And before I sound like some sort of conspiracy theorist, there was no mistake in Valve's timing on announcing their Steam machine. Now, they will tell you a lot of that had to do with, they're about to send dev kits to developers. And as we know in the past, with pretty much any type of hardware, that typically leads to a lot of leaks. So you want to get ahead of that and announce it. Now, could they have waited a week or two? Sure. But I do think, considering how much Xbox or Phil himself works with Steam or Valve or Gabe in general, they've kind of known each other's hand. Gabe knows what Phil and Sarah have been working on, as far as maybe not to the exact specs, but they have a pretty good idea that a certain amount of allotment with AMD and timing for manufacturing is taken up in this window. And the same for Gabe. Phil probably knows that, he was working on some updated AMD chip that's not for the Steam Deck or even the Steam Deck 2 that's going to take up a certain window of manufacturing. So they've kind of known a little bit of what each other is doing. So I do think that timing was to get ahead of not just the dev kits going out, but also get ahead of Xbox's potential announcement. Now, I don't know this to be fact, but I've been saying that even just looking at it from face value, from Xbox's standpoint, that would be the perfect alignment of the planets, as far as when you're having a major anniversary year for a couple of your IPs and the platform itself. What better way to put a stamp on it than to release the next generation of that hardware, or at least show it, even if it's 8 months prior to a pre-order, which I think that whole year 27, where some people have made mention, oh, they're looking for 27. As I said before, October 1st is Microsoft's 2027 year start date. And that would be a perfect time to do your pre-orders for a device that comes out in November. So I do see something, even though I know you're mainly focusing on like a partner third party, I think it's actually their first party hardware,
Wow.
more so than the partnered stuff. Now, the partner stuff could make an appearance as well, We've seen how well, and we even talked about how well ROG or Asus has been a partner with Xbox in the Asus ROG Ally or Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X. Um, so I could definitely see in that partnership expanding or continuing with other devices. Basically, something along the lines of the Xbox Ally without a screen that sits below your TV, which is kind of more along the lines of what the Steam machine is, although it's a bit more powerful than a current Steam Deck. But think of it as a Steam Deck on steroids without a screen that sits below your TV. So I can see a partner device closer to that. Will that device hit a 60 frames range? Who knows? There is going to be FSR or software working on the back end to kind of help on that regard. I know the 8 gigs of VRAM for a lot of people is like a non-starter, but look at how well the Steam Deck has been doing, being underpowered and compared to the Series S in a portable where you have less
Yep.
power to draw from. And it's been, even to this day, even though it's like 2+ years old, it's still able to hold its own. So I'm not worried about the Steam machine with its only 8 gigs of VRAM being an issue. Steam is doing some pretty amazing things, especially considering they've done what Microsoft can't do when it comes to ARM. Get 4 or x86 software to run on it, which I, a lot of people may have overlooked that completely, but that's huge because that means now Copilot PCs and things like that, where they were on ARM chips or Snapdragon chips, now could have a saving grace by wiping Windows 11 and putting Steam OS on it. But we'll see. I mean, unless you're playing COD or any of those other games where Proton is still an issue for anti cheat and things like that. But back to Xbox in general, considering what Steam is doing or Valve is doing, considering the anniversaries, considering when their calendar year starts, and already the announced partnership, and being able to get these dev kits in developers' hands in ample time for them to do at least resolution bumps and some upgrades to the coding for the games that are upcoming. Because think of it this way: the Xbox One X, as fantastic as that device was, it didn't seem like devs had to do much to make the games run better than what even the PS4 Pro were doing. They just basically coded for the regular Xbox and it automatically had better resolution, better frame rate. The most I think they had to do was, allocate the, higher res textures that were available for that PC version of that game. So we could see very much the same thing happening with a lot of games moving forward, going into the next generation or cross-gen games kind of thing. But I do think the VGAs is going to be a perfect place for them to announce their hardware. I think it will be their hardware as opposed to third party. But don't be surprised if third party does make an appearance or either something before the show or after the show, because Asus doesn't need to pay Geoff Keighley millions of dollars to make an announcement. They can do that on their own in a tweet, and people would be just as happy. But I think with Xbox, I think their big thing is, one, to show that they're not worried about Steam, which I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, look, that Steam machine, Xbox is dead." No, it's not dead. It's now it makes it look like, hey, why isn't PlayStation doing a hybrid system? And I know a lot of people are talking about that in the chat, and that just probably puts more of a magnifying glass on Sony at this point, not doing a hybrid, or hey, where's their PC store? But all of that aside, I would hope, I can't promise, but I would hope that Xbox does seize that opportunity with the VGAs to announce their next hardware, much like they did in 2019 with the Series X, and maybe show a game like Hellblade. Well, I don't think it would be Hellblade 3. I think the game that they will probably want to show, and people are going to call me crazy for this, they're going to want to show the next Halo running on that next piece of hardware. Sure, it'll run fine on the series console, but show what it looks like on the next box or next X generation box or whatever they decide to call it, Xbox Fusion, whatever you call it. Hopefully, we'll get to see that at the VGAs, and I think that will you know ramp up the excitement for this anniversary year coming next year. So we'll see.
Yep, and again, the Game Awards is only a couple weeks away, folks. Just like Thanksgiving, we have 2 weeks to Thanksgiving, and then 2 weeks after that. So it's about a month, give or take, before the Game Awards. Big things are going to happen. I think Xbox is going to show up and show out. That's just my that's just my thoughts and theories. I could be 1,000% wrong, but I think even though their marketing team is terrible, they have to be on the same page as what we're talking about. We're just a bunch of podcasters. Everyone here had killer ideas that these folks that are making 6+ figures should be coming up with. This is an opportunity to show up and show out. I hope that they do.